Well, hello everyone. This is Raquel, and I just want to welcome you. It has been another extraordinary week, a couple of weeks with the energies that continue to shift and move. As Gaia continues to purge, as she continues to clear the decks, and regain her own freedom, sovereignty from the inverted lower magnetics. And as we continue on this journey, it is really important to understand the bigger picture of what is happening. And so, as we've come through this week, there's been some extraordinary cosmic alignments, all the planets lining up. And there has been quite a bit that has happened here, especially in the US, with the California fires and all of the purging that is happening in that part of the world. And of course, there are still other regions that are going through seismic events. And it really is important to understand that although from a human perspective, it can feel very devastating, and all of the people who have been affected. But it was interesting when you look at, we'll talk about the California fires for a moment. There has been a lot of massive devastation, but very little human loss. When you look at the overall of what has transpired. And yes, it's incredibly emotional and very devastating to be stripped of your worldly attachments and belongings and memories. But if you've been following my work at all, we've been talking about how as we move from the old magnetics into the new magnetics, how there truly is a release of the old magnetics. We are magnetic beings, but that also is all of our old belief systems, all of our old ways of being. And so as we look at all the devastation that has happened and realize the minimal human actual loss, if you step back, and of course we have compassion, and it is incredibly traumatic what has happened, but also just as we look at this example, it is the attachments in the physical 3D that has been lost, but not the life. Very few, right? And it is interesting. I just find it fascinating. Of course, the beautiful ways in which, with that stripped away, from the egoic human standpoint, it's devastating. But from a higher level of consciousness, this was the way in which their higher selves chose to strip away those levels of the ego. And we're finding that communities are coming together, families and loved ones and neighbors, the community of connection that is coming out of this in a lot of ways. And so, again, not to diminish the emotional human experience on any level, but also stepping back and looking at, it was possessions, it was, things that were destroyed. And with that, I would hope that we can collectively hold a field of compassion and love, but also a field of reconnecting soul to soul, reconnecting with community, reconnecting with we're all in this together, and coming together from a space of, yes, a shared tragedy, but also an opportunity to again recognize that the material world is fleeting, but the eternal of the soul, the eternal of our divine essence, is forever. And so I've just been pondering on that as, yes, Gaia has gone through and done a massive purging in that region of the world, which was absolutely necessary from a inverted energy grid. I could go on and on and on about the inverted grids and technologies and underground and all of those things. All of that had to be purged. But I also sit in wonder and awe of how few lives were actually taken in such a massive purging event. And so as we continue to hold the space of we're not intimately involved or have ones that we can directly help, as a larger field, as those of us who are anchoring the new reality, anchoring the higher frequencies, to recognize that as we hold this field, there is an opportunity to move away from the mindset and the ways in which humanity has moved into a materialistic, right, on so many levels, and hold the potential for the beautiful souls who, yes, at some level signed up to move through this experience, can reconnect to the truth of what is the true value, which is the human connection, which is unity, which is we are eternal, and the material things, they can come, they go, but it is the consciousness within and the way that we walk through this world and come together that is hopefully a shift in the way they perceive once they grieve through the loss. But this is a interesting and beautiful opportunity for us to hold the fields for that shift in consciousness from the materialistic into the unity, which is what we know is coming through and anchored or anchoring as we, well, it is anchored and it's anchoring all in the same breath. And so it's a different expression of that level of compassion, recognizing and stepping and looking at it from that level of experience, to really hope that their souls, their higher selves, their ability to move into a higher state of consciousness from an experience that was so traumatic. And usually, quite frankly, most of us will know that sometimes it takes something drastic to wake us up. It takes something very traumatic to begin to go within. And not to say that there weren't many that were already on that journey. But just a different perspective that I wanted to bring into the awareness as we continue to anchor and hold higher frequencies and hold that level of compassion for them, for all of the beings that have been affected, and for all of those experiences that are coming, because we know that Gaia will continue to purge. She will continue to reclaim her organic, her freedoms from all of the inverted magnetics. And we are magnetic beings of light. And so even though we many of us, there may be those watching who were absolutely part of this experience on a physical level, but to know that we are all feeling the shifts and the changes of the magnetics that are happening on the planet. And so our ability to anchor that maybe a little bit different, higher perspective, while we stay in compassion, while we support, where we can, and how we can show up. But we can show up 10,000 miles away in a state of compassion and holding the field collectively to wake up and remember. And so I just wanted to bring that forward because there will be more and more events, and most likely large groups, large populations being affected in traumatic ways. And as we hold that compassion and light, anchor it more and more and more on the planet, we are, from a collective template level, opening up the fields for them to feel the love and support in ways that weren't even possible last year because of all of the shifts and changes at the magnetic levels, at the cosmic levels, as we unlock from the cosmic clock, as we open up the 13th gate, as we, the gateway through, right, which we started to open that up last month, and it will continue to open and expand. And that was the Ophiuchus gateway, which is into a much higher level of healing the collective human experience. And so with that, I really hope that we can hold that field so strongly that it doesn't take a lot of linear time for anyone who is ready to wake up and feel the shift that is coming to do so quicker, with more ease and grace, and feeling the love and the support of the new magnetics that we are so profoundly anchoring on the planet. Hi, I'm Raquel, and I am an Ascension guide, helping you to awaken and remember your quantum self. I provide a holistic, multifaceted, and comprehensive approach to your awakening and ascension, bringing you to the cutting edge of consciousness while expanding your ability to live multidimensionally. You are a divine, sovereign being of light, and it's time to remember. Explore my website, raquelspencer.com, to learn about becoming your quantum self.